Ramocha Yatosi Medya Suchiran Namude Bhajan Nagya Yate Bhagavato Gatir Itya Vadyam Nanya Tvarishti Bhagavan Apitana Sudam
Nanya Tvarasti Bhagavan Apitana Shudham
Maya Guna Vyatikaradya Rurur Vibasi
Maya Guna Vyatikaradya Rurur Vibasi. Not working?
Yeah. Do you need the mics?
Yeah, probably. And also, Krishnanu can't see it on his phone, so.
What can you see?
The YouTube.
Live here.
Yeah, I see it. So, it's okay. Thank you.
Bhagavato Gitir Ityavajam
Nanya Tavadasti Bhogavam Apitanan Sudan
Nanya Tvarasti Bhagavan Apitana Shudam
Mayo Guna Vakatarya Duud Verdasi
Maya Guna Vyatikaradya Vivasi. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki. Lord Brahma said, O my Lord, today, after years of penance, I have come to know about you. Oh, how unfortunate the embodied living entities are that they are unable to know your personality. My Lord, you are the only knowable object, because there is nothing supreme beyond you. If there is anything supposedly superior to you, it is not the absolute. You exist as the supreme by exhibiting the creative energy of matter. Purport. The highest peak of the ignorance of the living entities who are conditioned by material bodies is that they are unaware of the supreme cause of the cosmic manifestation. Different people have different theories regarding the supreme cause, but none of them are genuine. The only supreme cause is Vishnu, and the intervening impediment is the illusory energy of the Lord. The Lord has employed his wonderful material energy and manifesting many, many wonderful distractions in the material world. And the conditioned souls, illusioned by the same energy, are thus unable to know the supreme cause. The most stalwart scientists and philosophers, therefore, cannot be accepted as wonderful. They only appear wonderful because they are instruments in the hands of the illusory energy of the Lord. Under illusion, the general mass of people denies the existence of the Supreme Lord and accept the foolish products of illusory energy as supreme. One can know the supreme cause, the personality of Godhead, by the causeless mercy of the Lord, which is bestowed upon the Lord's pure devotees like Brahma and those in his disciplic succession. By acts of penance only was Lord Brahma able to see the Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, and by realizing only could he understand the Lord as he is. Brahma was extremely satisfied upon observing the magnificent beauty and opulence of the Lord, and he admitted that nothing can be comparable to him. Only by penance can one appreciate the beauty and opulence of the Lord. And when one is acquainted with that beauty and opulence, he is no longer attracted by any other. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 259, Param Drishtva Nivartate. Foolish human beings who do not endeavor to investigate the supreme beauty and opulence of the Lord are here condemned by Brahma. It is imperative that every human being try for such knowledge, and if anyone does not do so, his life is spoiled. Anything that is beautiful and opulent in the material sense is enjoyed by those living entities who are like crows. Crows always engage in picking at rejected garbage, whereas the white ducks do not mix with the crows. Rather, they take pleasure in transparent lakes with lotus flowers surrounded by beautiful orchards. Both crows and ducks are undoubtedly birds by birth, but they are not of the same feather. Maharaj, would you like to enlighten us?
The only way that the entities can understand the supreme cause is to come in contact with the devotees of the Lord, because they're the only ones that can understand the Lord. Naham prakasya sarvasya yogamaya samavita mudho yamna vijanati lokamam ajam avyam. She says, I'm never manifest to the foolish and unintelligent. For them I am covered by my eternal creative potency, yogamaya, and thus the deluded world knows me not from unborn and infallible. Can't understand, because the Lord has his bewildering energy, and this bewildering energy coming from ignorance is putting all the living entities in illusion. They can't understand who they are, what's the source, the cause of everything. And they put forward many theories. It's like now we have Big Bang Theory and other types of theories. Darwin's theory that this is how things originally were caused. But that's not acceptable, because it's just a theory. There's no way to prove that life comes from matter unless you do it. Sometimes scientists say that the cause of life is these four chemicals. And when they existed and they got together, they created life. It became alive. There's no, if anyone says that, it's fine. And they should be able to prove it. They should show some proof of that. But rather we see just the opposite. If something is alive can produce living entities, Something dead cannot. So even in the matter of chicken is alive. Chicken can make the egg, and the egg produces a living being. A chick comes up. So if you can do that with just chemicals and not use the living bird, then you may have done something. Not so much, because you're not the first one anyway. But they can't even do that. Therefore, the PhD should be given to the bird, chicken, rather than the scientist. Because his theory doesn't work. And chicken can go on producing live chicks, one after the other. Not any difficulty. So this is the foolishness of accepting a theory that has never been proved. And we all, for the most part, have accepted all these theories. Darwin's theory is taught in schools. If you take Darwin's theory out of the schools, people get very upset. They tried to do that here about over 27 years ago, first came here. The Kansas, state of Kansas Board of Education decided that we're not going to teach Darwin's theory in schools anymore. And they passed it. And it created a big stir all over the world. And so they were coming here, you had CNN and all the different news medias were coming. And they had a meeting once it was decided. And we also went to that meeting. And they said, that Board of Education said that we don't accept Darwin's theory as a bona fide. That's it. So there were people from different universities, and they came to argue. It was kind of a debate. We also went. We took one book by our devotees. What was that book?
Sarabhuta or
The one, yeah, Sarabhuta and Judakarma. Forbidden Archaeology or something like that. So this book, we read from that. And so we pointed out that this theory of Darwin has never been proven. No effect. And before Darwin's theory, it happened, there has to be something alive. They've never been able to prove that matter produces life. But life comes from life. That's the fact of the matter is nobody has ever seen anything that has no life produce life. Now there's a theory that sometimes they say scorpions come from rice. And people say, I saw that rice, and one day it was just rice, and then after some time, scorpions came out, walked out of the rice. That means rice produced scorpions. So people accept that. But it's proven, if you go further, that it's not that the rice produced scorpions, it's that the mother scorpion came there sometime earlier, laid her eggs in the rice, and after some time, they produced little scorpions, and then they crawled out. That's how it happened. It's not that the scorpions came from rice. Something not alive produced something alive. Even there in the Vedic culture, there's 4 different types of birth. There's birth from eggs. There's birth from embryos. There's birth from seeds, and there's birth from perspiration. Even the perspiration, when it's an unclean place, then that becomes a breeding ground 4 small living entities. And so they come there and lay their eggs, and then they take birth from, or they just take it from the perspiration. Living entities are put there. Even if you take the earth, you say, well, the earth is not alive, so how can the earth give birth? The earth doesn't give birth to living entities unless they're impregnated by a male father. Mother Nature cannot produce living entities by herself. They have to be impregnated. And therefore Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Bijo Mama, that I'm the seed giver. I'm Bijaprata Pita. I'm the father of all living entities. All seeds, all embryos, they all come from me. It's like Krishna is the source of the first being, Brahma. Brahma was the first living being created in the universe. Now, as a living being, he was not created, but he's given body. And he himself is eternal, as the Supreme Lord is eternal. In other words, Nityo Nityanam, Chaitanas Chaitananam, Eko Bahunam Yovidati Kama. There's 2 types of living entities, and they're both eternal. The living entities like ourselves and Supreme Living Entity. They're both eternal. Both have no beginning and no end. But still, he's credited, he's given the appraisal, it's appraised that he is the source. Janma Jasataha. Everything emanates from that person. This is the beginning of Vedanta Sutra. And it's explained in this Srimad Bhagavatam, the first verse, very long verse explaining the first verse of Vedanta Sutra. Janmadasya Tonvayadi Taratas Charte Sabhigya Surat Tene Brahmahida Yadi Kave Muyanti Surya Tejo Varimidam Pinimayo Yatra Sri Sargomisha Tamna Svena Sadat Guhasa Jimhi. Missed a few words there. So this verse explains more. That source of everything is the absolute truth. That's the ultimate. And that is Krishna. That's what the whole Bhagavatam points out. That this person who creates everything, who's the source of everything, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And no one can equal him. No one is equal to him, and no one is greater than him. Asamordva. He's above everyone. He's unique. That he is the source of everyone else, and he has no source. So even if someone says, I'm equal to God, I'm equal to the Supreme. Yes, the living entities can claim that they have some equality on the basis of that they're eternal, Chaitanas, they're conscious, those 2 factors. So that gives them, living entities are equal to the Lord in quality to some degree, but not in quantity. They may live forever. They cannot do the things that Krishna can do. They cannot manifest other living entities. He can manifest. And he does. And he is compared to the big ocean. The living entities are compared to the drops of the ocean. They have the same qualities, similar qualities as the big ocean. But in quantity, they're not equal. So this is the thing to be learned. One understands his position, and he can live a good life. He can live eternally. One of our devotee poets sang a song, he said, if not for you, nothing would exist. You're the source of existence. Everything depends on Krishna. Therefore, everyone should worship him. Not just some people. It's not optional. Everyone should worship Vishnu, otherwise they become implicated. It's like everyone must follow the laws. The laws states that when you're driving your car, you have to drive on the right side. If you drive on the left side, you'll be punished because it's not allowed. You have to follow the law of the government. But above these governments, temporary governments, for a few years or for a few generations, there's the supreme law, and that's Krishna. Krishna is the supreme law. Everyone has to bow down to him, and everyone has to follow his instructions. This is stated in Brahma Samhita in many different ways, how the different living entities, for example, Maya, Chaya Devi, she acts as the shadow of the Lord. The whole material energy, she's not independent. Maya Dakshina Prakriti, Suyute Sacharacha, Hetunanana Konteya, Jagat Viparivartite. Material nature is working under his direction. And the sun, that's Chakshuresha Savita Sakalagahan, Ajasamasa Sura Shesha, Tesha, Teja, Yasyagyavrata, Sambrita Kala Chakro, Govindamari Purusham, Dhamaham Bhajami. The sun, how is it the sun keeps going on its journey? Sometimes they theorize that the sun is staying still, but it's not. The sun is moving, not the earth. We have this theory that the earth is moving around the sun. That's backwards. The sun is moving around the earth. That's another topic. But who has given those orders that the sun should move? It travels around. You can calculate the exact number of miles it goes in 24 hours. The time and space are connected. They're interacting. And who has established that time and space must behave in a particular way? That's the Supreme Lord, that's Krishna. So this solves all the problems. And if the sun has to obey the Lord, and Yamraj, the controller of death, he's the punisher. Yamaraj means he holds the rod of chastisement. He chastises the wrongdoers. They have to suffer, have to be punished. Who has made that order? That's the order of the Lord. You may say, well, that's cruel. That's not a good Lord. It is. It's not cruel. It's the only way to deal with certain persons who are incorrigible. The only way you can deal with them is to force them to do the right thing. So that has to be done. And then once they get corrected, they're welcomed in to the spiritual world. They're welcome to come back. And if they have some special fortune, they might, in their course of forming their sinful and detestable activities, if they're killed by the Lord personally, then they don't have to go through all this other punishment. They just, next life, they go back to the spiritual world immediately. But we can't expect to get that fortune that Krishna is going to come. And I'll be such a big demon that Krishna will come like Kamsa, kill me or Hiranyakashipu. No. We can be killed also by Krishna's energies, hurricanes, heart failure, cancer. We've got so many ways. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj. I think we just have time for questions if there's any questions. Yes, Prabhu.
I was looking over the definition of infallible means. The definition that came out to me was incapable of being wrong. So Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, the difference between him and Arjuna is that he, Krishna, is infallible. Arjuna is he's free from his past. Yes. But my question is, because we're going to become infallible as well, how being resituated with the chitons, being fully, having full knowledge, at that point he would be capable of being wrong. So going up with this definition of what infallible means, does the living entity become infallible himself on being resituated in his constitutional position?
Infallible like the Supreme Lord, no one cares. But they can become infallible in a sense. They can still fall down. That's their tendency, that's their nature. Is although they're one with the Lord in quality, because they're so small, Anu, they can be overwhelmed by material energy. So they're not infallible in that sense. But a pure devotee who's fully absorbed in the Lord, he does not fall down. He remains perfectly situated, and Maya cannot touch him. But because he's given the living entity is given free will, and that free will allows him he has the right to fall down if he wishes. In other words, it's never taken away. Then now the living entity cannot go into material energy. He always can. But a pure devotee has no interest in it. So there's no danger. But the opportunity is there. So that is the correct understanding. Living entities can fall from any situation, but they won't fall if they take shelter of Krishna, because he's infallible. He's Ajita, unconquerable. No one can conquer Krishna.
Any other questions? Okay, we'll end there. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. His Holiness Nadavar Goswami ki jai.